The Guardians of the Universe are immortal, and they're the oldest living beings in the universe. For eons, they proclaimed that they had witnessed the creation of life itself, and that this creation had occurred on their home planet. Thus, this gave them the right to assume authority in universal disputes. Now, as the overseers of the Green Lantern Corps, they are dedicated to maintaining peace and order throughout the universe, and use the Green Lanterns to enforce those ideals. However, Blackest Night number 7, written by Jeff Johns, reveals that the Guardians upheld their authority by perpetuating the oldest lie in the universe. Necron, the embodiment of death and the founder of the Black Lantern Corps, uses a slain Guardian to release a being made of pure white light from Earth's core. Ganthet, a Guardian, reluctantly then tells Hal Jordan that it is the entity, the living light bestowed upon this universe, that triggered existence itself. He then reveals that while the Guardians are the oldest living beings, life did not begin on their home world, but rather on Earth. They hid this truth to keep the entity protected, and they deliberately refused to choose Green Lanterns from Earth so as to not draw attention to the planet. Sinestro realizes that Abin Sur must have discovered this, and that's why he chose to give his ring to an Earthman, seemingly hoping that it would help uncover the entire conspiracy. Mind blown. You're welcome. Next up, Superman's secret identity was something that for a long time, especially during the Silver Age, was always teased about being unveiled. In the modern era of comics, it largely took a bit of a back burner. That was, at least until 2018, when Superman decided that, due to his determination to uphold the truth, he needed to be honest with the world, publicly confirming that Clark Kent and Superman are one and the same. Now that's all well and good until we saw the ramifications of that, particularly with one Alexander Luthor. Lex Luthor has grown up with Clark Kent in Smallville, and he felt betrayed that Clark, the only person who had ever been nice to him, lied to him for so many years. Lex felt that if he had known the truth about Clark, their lives would have been different, which is probably true. So, what did he do? Luthor captured Manchester Black, who he had planted as a mole on Superman's authority team, and used Black's telepathic powers to not only erase Superman's identity, but put a post-hypnotic suggestion in everyone on Earth that would give anyone a heart attack if they found out that Superman was Clark Kent. That's a lot. But speaking of a lot, Crisis on Infinite Earths is arguably DC's best event, but its in-universe ramifications have always been interesting. The Anti-Monitor's defeat didn't just minimize the multiverse down into one Earth, it made it so there had always been one Earth. The Crisis became an event in Earth's history, but it was very different from what happened in the actual battle against the Anti-Monitor that the readers read in the 12-issue series. But at the same time, both versions of the Crisis technically actually happened. The one in the actual comic and the changed one that sprang from the reordering of creation caused by the victory against the Anti-Monitor. This was known by few people, for example Psycho Pirate, who no one believed because he had mental health issues. Alexander Luthor, Superboy Prime, Earth 2 Superman, and Earth 2 Lois Lane, basically the heroes of the Crisis, also knew the truth, and it was eventually revealed to Power Girl and others, and in time, the true nature of the Crisis was revealed to the heroic and villainous communities at large. While many of Batman's villains have well-known pasts, the Joker has always been shrouded in mystery. Over the years, multiple different origins for the Joker were suggested. The closest thing to an actual answer came from Batman the Killing Joke. That comic alluded to Joker being a failed comedian who was forced into being the Red Hood and thrown into a vat of acid by Batman, his pregnant wife then escaping him while he was out as the Hood. Now of course there is also the Three Jokers story and concept, where it was revealed that multiple people took up the mantle of the Joker, including the failed comedian. It was also revealed that Batman had known the identity of the comedian Joker the whole time. However, that may not actually be canon. Another recent revelation is that the different aspects of the Joker's personality are actually due to training he undertook with Daniel Captio. Daniel Captio taught both Batman and the Joker separately how to use their minds to their full capacity. It basically allowed Batman to create the Zur-En-Arrh personality, and it allowed the Joker to do something very similar, creating his own separate personalities. DC's multiverse is confusing, starting with the fact that DC tried to erase it only to put it back and then continuously fiddled with it. One of the things that really boggled my mind was when DC revealed the Dark Multiverse. The multiverse had a dark twin, one where the healthy worlds gave way to diseased Earths. On these planets, evil prevailed and the people suffered in the darkness below the multiverse, which you would think would just be a part of an ever-expanding multiverse. But no, it's its own thing. This was the Dark Multiverse, and it would soon become a tool in the hands of the Dark God, Barbados. Barbados brought the Dark Knights, alternate evil Batman who had wiped out their Justice Leagues and stolen their powers, to the multiverse to conquer it and steal its energy for the Dark Multiverse. Barbados used the Dark Multiverse against the heroes to conquer all of creation. Now Perpetua and the Batman Who Laughs did something very similar, showing just how dangerous the Dark Multiverse could be. It doesn't make the multiverse any more simple though, it just makes it more confusing. Villains sometimes find out the heroes' identities. That's bad. It puts their lives and the lives of their loved ones in danger. Erasing that knowledge from the minds of villains shouldn't really be a problem and sounds kind of like a decent solution to the problem. But when it's kept a secret and done by only a small group, it kind of becomes an issue. It was revealed in Identity Crisis that that's what certain members of the Justice League had been doing for years, but it all backfired on them when Batman walked in on them doing it to Dr. Light. Batman finding out and getting mind-wiped was the last straw, throwing a spanner into the works of the Justice League. The secret was kept for years, but once it got out, it wrecked the cohesion of the Justice League, and this came about at the worst possible time, allowing Alexander Luthor, Superboy Prime, and the Society to carry out their plans largely unopposed. DC's The New 52 was a big old change up to their continuity, and it really annoyed a lot of people, but how it came to be was a big old mystery that I somewhat enjoyed reading because it involved the Watchmen's own Dr. Manhattan. Dr. Manhattan's role in creating the New 52 wasn't planned from the beginning, but it ended up making more and more sense than what originally was established as it went on. Basically, Dr. Manhattan actually left the Watchmen universe and found the DC Multiverse. He entered the Prime Earth and then began messing with events using the multiverse for his own uber-size experiments. Eventually, the arrival of other people from the Watchmen universe revealed his hand in why things had changed, and the heroes responded. The interesting thing about this secret is that most of DC's characters don't really know exactly what Dr. Manhattan did. The heroes know that the blue guy had something to do with changing the multiverse's history, but the full extent of what he did remains a complete and total mystery. Next up isn't so much a secret as it is something that DC might want you to forget about. Basically, when Wonder Woman first came on the scene, the character being tied up and captured happened to an increasingly uncomfortable degree. This was because her co-creator, William Moulton Marston, incorporated his, personal preferences into her stories and powers. Like, infamously, he made Wonder Woman's greatest weakness being tied up or subdued by a man. Now this was pretty quickly retconned even before the Comics Code Authority cracked down on comics in the 1950s. Later writers didn't share Marston's interests and views and felt that Wonder Woman's weird and oddly specific weaknesses were unnecessary, but just a bit sexist and humiliating. Now this is technically a retcon, and it went largely unnoticed for actually quite a while until some dedicated readers dug into Wonder Woman's past and found out. Next up, Arthur Curry is Aquaman. He is the guy. When people think of the blonde-haired, golden fish scale wearing hero, they are thinking of Arthur Curry. Or are they? Ooh. Arthur Curry is DC's official Aquaman. That part isn't wrong, but when you look at the Golden Age Aquaman, that is actually not Arthur Curry. That version of the character, who looks basically the exact same with all the same powers, is actually just some unnamed water-based hero who actually kind of despises us regular Earth humans and fought against the Axis powers during World War II. DC had only introduced Arthur Curry as we know him during the Silver Age of comics, and he became accepted as just the guy who had always been Aquaman. As he got more and more popular, DC just kind of quietly swept Golden Age Aquaman under the rug and pretended that they were the same person the whole time. It's actually kind of hilarious because the only reason that no one realized was because it's Aquaman, and no one even cared if they did realize. Sorry, dude. Okay, for my last exposed secret of the day, I'm going to a short little moment that shows us a side to Bruce Wayne that I don't think any of us knew existed. In JLA issue number 27 in 1999, there is a single page. Bruce Wayne is meeting with Clark Kent and a mysterious woman who Clark introduces as Hino Ray, and she greets Bruce Wayne. In the very next panel, we find out that this woman is actually John Johns, the Martian Manhunter, or John Jones if you prefer, in disguise. How do we find this out? Well, Batman says that while the accent was flawless, the name was a dead giveaway. Now, this may fly right over your head, it did for me at first, but Ray Hino is the name of Sailor Mars from Sailor Moon. That means that Batman, Bruce Wayne, billionaire and masked detective vigilante who has mortally wounded characters like Darkseid and beats criminals to a pulp with his bare hands, and Martian Manhunter, a literal Martian with powers that are on par with Superman and who is millions of years old and has dealt with the extinction of his own species, both watch Sailor Moon and are big enough fans to use and recognize a name from the show, and not even the name of the main character. Explosion. Nuts. Crazy. With that, my name is Adam Andrews. As always, I will catch you guys on the flippy flop. Stay safe, keep positive, and peace out, nerds.